Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's almost 9 o'clock in the morning here on March 1st, 2024. Leap day is over, and now we are moving into a brand new month. So what I want to do is I want to start the month just by looking at the S&P 500, looking at Bitcoin. I'm only going to focus on these two on the video today. If you'd like to have any other analysis, you're going to need to catch me on Discord. If you need access to Discord, you can find all of that information on BitDoctor.org, which is also going to give you information on how to access our trading rooms, to all of our options trading, our crypto trading, discussions on advanced strategies and trade ideas, and all of that good stuff. But before we get into all of this analysis, as you all know, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market here. So let's go ahead and move on into the chart. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. We are to a point here where it does look like the S&P 500 does want to extend just a little bit higher, and I think that's okay. I don't really have a problem with us moving a little bit higher here. Looking at the chart, again from the bottom to this pivot here on July 2023, and then this move back down here to October 2023, right? So, we have the seasonality where September, October usually tend to be a little bit bearish, and that's basically exactly what happened. We got this pivot right here to the 618, so that's going to be it's going to be one of our important pivots along with this important pivot right up here. Going back and just taking a look at the structure, we do have some overlap here, right? So we've got this pivot up here, we've got this pivot right here. So we do have pivoting that does look corrective in nature, and I think that is going to continue to be important to keep an eye on. As we move on into what I believe is our wave 3, of course, we've got this ABC here into wave 1, an ABC here into wave 2, and then working on this A, and then I believe we're going to be going into our B here fairly soon. I think this is likely going to start happening over the next month. So I would say by the time we get to April or May, chances are pretty good that the S&P 500 is probably going to find itself down here at roughly the 4750 to 4800 mark. We haven't really done a retest of the previous all-time highs that we created back in 2020, right at the very beginning, 2022. 2022, the time just flies. So at any rate, we are now at a point where I think we're getting close to finishing this wave A. Let me remove this fib pull here. Close to finishing this wave A, and I believe 5150 is probably going to be close to where we go. 5150 to 5200 likely is going to be the area in which we do find a spot where we will be pivoting and moving back to the downside, at least for a short term. So I have a pivot point here that I've marked, and it's basically right around tax day, right? So April 12th, in that general area, I believe is where we're going to see, again, a little bit of a pullback, and likely we're going to see a pivot there. I'll tell you what I would really love to see, and I don't know that the market is actually going to give it to us. I'd love to see a move down here to the 618 at 4,500. I really doubt that's going to happen, and if it does, it's probably not going to happen by April 12th. If that happens, we're probably looking at going into May, if that's going to happen at all, right? So again, we've got this structure to the upside, and it does look like we've got a little more upside ahead of us. What I'm really looking for, I'm not looking for a short at 5150 to 5200, maybe take some risk off the table. I'm really looking forward to getting into more positions when we get this pullback. I think it's what a lot of people are waiting for, and the market is just continuing to grind up, which is causing a lot of people to get into some positions up here where really, in my opinion, the risk is to the downside. I think if we have a big move, the chances are pretty good that the move is going to be greater to the downside, which I would be looking for that to be buyable. Very likely we're going to see, move down here, and then we'll see move up to where my target is about 5450 to 5500. Likely that's going to be the completion of wave 3. and that's probably going to go into the end of quarter two, and maybe parts of the beginning of quarter three. Again, we were just talking a little bit about September, October being bearish. I would say more than likely, this pivot point here is, halfway through that September, October time frame. Chances are very good that this could extend. So if we actually do come out here to say the end of May, right, and then we take this and we go up like that, I think from a time perspective, I think that makes sense to see a move that takes a little bit longer. So this is sort of what my projection is going to be for the S&P 500, at least for the next maybe 6 to 8 months. I think we're probably going to see a few months of downside corrective nature. Maybe we see a move down here. I'm not going to stop keeping an eye here on this pivot point, which I've got again right around tax day. But we're going to be looking to get into more positions if we do get this pullback, and then looking to capitalize on that once we see that move to the upside, which is going to be wave 3, which is going to take us into this wave 4. So this wave 4, if we're going to be ending this in any kind of an ending diagonal, it's going to look very, very interesting when this is all said and done. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all of this and watching the structure as we go. I was just having a discussion with somebody on Discord just yesterday talking about the fact that Elliott wave analysis is like one of the last tools that I use. I focus a lot on Fibonacci retracements. I'm not going to ignore the fact that we had this 618, and the target for that 618 pullback was going to be, up here where we basically had all-time highs. So we already achieved our target to the upside for that move. And now we've already basically gotten to the 618 extension target, which is, really great for an extended move. But now that we're here, I do think that we're going to see the signs of weakness, and likely signs that we're going to start to see a little bit of a pullback. And I'm only talking about the S&P 500. I'm not talking about Bitcoin, which I will talk about here in just a minute. But let's take a look at the dollar index. Dollar index is suggesting that we're going to see another move to the upside here soon. Way back here in January, I was discussing the fact that we would be seeing another move to the upside before we saw a significant move to the downside. So yes, I do think that we're going to see a move to the downside, but if the dollar index does continue to grind up, and again, even if we go into maybe the end of May, like I was suggesting, look a little bit like this, that would make a lot of sense. Get us here to that 618, and then this takes a little bit longer, basically getting to that negative 236 extension, and that would again go into, like I was mentioning before, the end of September, beginning of October, somewhere in that range. From a structure standpoint, I think this works really, really well. Now, if we do see this take out this low here, well then this count is wrong, which is why Elliott wave theory works from a subjective standpoint, right? I'm looking at this very subjectively, but if I'm taking a look at it from a fib standpoint, from this top to this bottom, well, just take a look and see what we already got. We got a rejection off of that 618 right there, which would suggest that it's possible that we start to go down from here. So if that happens, then we're going to have to reanalyze our counts and everything, and that's just the way Elliott wave theory is. It's very subjective. I can change a count to make it look great. I can change a count to convince you that something is going to happen, but really we don't know what's going to happen until the move happens. So we've got support and resistance levels, very, very important. I've outlined those right here. So we got 104.75 and 105.69. That area, this area is going to be very, very important to try and get through. If we can't get through it, we're going to break down. And if we break down, that means that the stock market is just going to keep rallying. I would tend to believe that we are going to likely continue to see this grinding up a little bit more, maybe only getting to the 50 at 106.95, maybe getting to that 618 at 108.75. One way or another, at some point, we're going to meet some resistance and we're going to come back down here. So yes, there is a little bit of upside, which goes in line with how I believe that the stock market is going to grind down correctively for probably the next, March, April. So the next 2 months, maybe 3 months, see the dollar index continue to grind up a little bit, but the S&P 500 will likely grind down just a little bit because they do tend to be, opposite of each other. They do tend to be contrarian to each other, but that doesn't mean that it has to be that way. It's just how it typically, traditionally has moved. So dollar index moving up a little bit, S&P 500 moving down a little bit, but when we get there, once we get here, I do believe we're going to see a significant move to the downside on the dollar index, which is likely going to be what we're going to need to get that fuel for the S&P 500 to get up to that 5,500 level, maybe even higher. So there's always the chance that we have an extended move to the upside. We always have to keep our eye on that. So what about Bitcoin? I'm going to try and keep this really quick today here. So what about Bitcoin? So for Bitcoin, I've been talking for quite some time now that yesterday, the day before, so February 28th, February 29th, that has been a pivot point. And I've been talking about that for months, that there is a major pivot point that was yesterday, the day before, and we hit that on basically a thrust move to the upside. So even for Bitcoin, it's possible that this move is done, right? It's possible that we hit this upside target, right? We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can count it, an extended move into that fifth. Maybe we pop up a little bit higher, but again, the risk is to the downside. Would I suggest that anybody buy Bitcoin up here above $60,000? No, I wouldn't. Unless you are using a daily DCA strategy, and I do employ this just for the record, right? Unless you employ like a small daily DCA strategy where you take little bites here and there, I would not suggest going and mortgaging your house like stupid people did back in 2017, right? I mean, today it looks like they were geniuses, but what happened is they mortgaged their house, they did all of this, they bought all of this Bitcoin, and then it went from $20,000 to $3,500 1 year later, and then they sold at a loss, which is what the market makers want you to do. They want you to sell it when it's dropped 40, 50, 60, 70%. Then they buy it from you because they sold it to you when it was $20,000. That's what's happening right now. They're selling it to you now when it's above $60,000. And there is one simple fact here. Simple fact is that we have seen this major move to the upside, and the markets will come down. They will. They always do. Almost always. Almost always. And sometimes it takes time, right? But with crypto, it basically always happens. Yes, we've got the halving that's coming up here in April. What we haven't seen is a major pullback going into that halving. And it might not happen until after the halving. But looking at all of these indicators, you've got so much stuff that is overbought right now. I would be very, very cautious buying any Bitcoin right now. It is my opinion, and it has been my opinion throughout most of the year, that altcoins are where you're going to get your exponential gains. Altcoins have been performing extremely well, and they probably will continue to perform extremely well. You need to go and look and find things that have not seen, hundreds of percent increase over the last year. Find those and take a look at those. I'm not saying what to buy. I'm not saying how to buy it. I'm not saying how to size yourself. You need to manage your own risk and do your own research, as I've already stated. If you need help, find me on Discord. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help and give little bits and pieces of advice here and there. If you need help with trades, the Discord is where you need to be. That's where you can access the trades that I take. And I've taken lots of trades. I'm in probably 3 dozen different altcoins right now, and almost all of them are up over 100%. And that's just on spot. I don't trade leverage, especially here, because Bitcoin could make a significant move at any day, and it can do destructive things to your positions if you're in long positions or even short positions. Over the last week, anybody that was short got destroyed. And just the other day, when we saw that big drop on Bitcoin, over the course of like 10-15 minutes when Coinbase went down. People got destroyed. I don't want to see that for you. I want you to be very cautious. I want you to stay diligent in these markets. I want you to exercise patience more than anything. You have to exercise patience in this market. Find the right setup and execute on that setup, but only when the time is right. It's going to be basically as simple as that. Okay, guys, I've actually gone longer than what I wanted to. I managed to cover 3 different assets over the course of 15 minutes, so I hope this helped. And I hope this helped all of you that were watching today. I do appreciate you all joining. If you do need access to our Discord, again, you can find all of the information on BitDoctor.org. You can get access to charts. You can get access to education, trade ideas, equity, and options alike. We do day trading basically every day, almost every day. We do day trading options in the stock market. We do a lot of altcoin trading. Just because Ethereum and Bitcoin, in my opinion, are more longer term assets. You need to wait for the position, then get into the position versus trying to catch every $30 move on Bitcoin. That's a fool's game. You're going to end up losing in the long run. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and get this Friday started. Last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, and a great evening. Take care, everyone.